small observations on Better Call Saul. Okay, I've warned you these are small observations on Better Call Saul, and here they come. I remember when I first saw ads for Better Call Saul in 2015, 7 years ago, but I hadn't seen it until this summer. I've now caught up with seasons 1 to 5. Season 6 will finish the series in August of 2022. Do you have to watch Breaking Bad before watching Better Call Saul? That's probably a good idea, but I haven't seen Breaking Bad and I still enjoyed Better Call Saul. Now, I do know that Breaking Bad is about a high school teacher who becomes a meth dealer and then a meth kingpin. And Saul will be a lawyer in a future year when the timeline for this cinematic universe reaches Breaking Bad. But you wouldn't know, for example, that Gus, who's a pretty big drug lord in Saul, will be an even bigger drug lord in a future year in Breaking Bad. And Kim, who is Saul's wife and a major character, won't be in Breaking Bad, so we know something happens to her in season 6. So what do I think? Overall, Better Call Saul I can easily give an A. Stylistically, Better Call Saul is top-notch photography and editing. The filming style usually doesn't draw attention to itself, except Saul has a trademark edit where the screen suddenly goes black for a full second. It's not with every scene change, but it is 2 or 3 times in every episode. And there is always an abrupt cut to black, just as the opening credits are ending, which usually appear in the 3rd or 4th minute. During the hour, the cut to black may be at the end of a dialogue, or it may cut off a character in mid-syllable, sort of like this. I'm reminded of the famous sudden cut to black at the end of The Sopranos. How about narrative? You have to stay alert because Better Call Saul takes place in a number of time periods, including Saul and Kim's and Michael's childhoods. I'd say it's characteristic that from time to time a new theme, character, or setting is introduced abruptly, and the viewer is meant to be puzzling out what the heck is going on. From the first minute of episode 1, we see that Saul will end up under an assumed name and managing a Cinnabon in Nebraska. So we know that's coming, no matter how scary or how successful his adventures are. Other trademarks. 2 remind me of Columbo. First, Columbo had an incredibly crappy car, and Saul has an incredibly crappy car. Second, Columbo had his trademark in every episode where he comes back after a minute and says, "Just one more thing." Saul has a trademark in every episode where he will either tell an incredibly bizarre made-up story to someone, or he will launch into a fever-pitch monologue to convince someone to do something they absolutely don't want to do. Finally, there came a moment when Saul and Kim began to remind me of Audrey Meadows and Jackie Gleason in The Honeymooners. In The Honeymooners, every episode will spin around some crazy scheme of Ralph Cramden's, and every episode would end with Ralph and Alice back on speaking terms. And that's a little bit like Saul and Kim. For me, those were some little elements of style and fun that provide some extra color to Better Call Saul. Thanks for watching.